So Nuance Bro interviewed gun control activists in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, I've previously reacted to a few conversations in the first half. Today, we're going to be reacting to a few conversations in the second half of the video. It's a long video, so I figured to cut it into two. If you guys want to check out his full video, I will always put links down below to make sure you can check out the full video. So, before we get started, welcome back to the channel, everyone. This video is sponsored by my friends over at Native Path. Thank you guys for sponsoring the video. We will talk about them more in a bit. Now, if you are not familiar with Nuance Bro, he does a lot of great street videos. He's a fantastic interviewer. He asks fantastic questions. He pushes back when it's appropriate. And he also does a lot of deep dives on his channel. So if you're not familiar with him, make sure you hit the link in the description below. Go subscribe to him. Go show him your support. Let's jump into it.
Why are we out here today?
I am protesting. I'm actually pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment. And I'm protesting to get better securities for these schools in general, because it's really sad. We have more security in the airport than we do for our children's school, and this is very scary for me. I have nieces and nephews.
Spot on.
And one day hearing from my sisters like, hey, there's a school shooting. The thing is, guns themselves can't kill people. Like, if you just have a gun right there, it's not going to do anything. The person has to do it. We should also have more help for people who need mental help. People who are mentally ill, we should help them more and provide more resources for them.
She's absolutely preaching here. And talk about bravery. I mean, truly, showing up to a protest like that as a young woman such as herself, showing up there and holding your sign and making your stance be known, that's actually, that's brave. A lot of people are too afraid to go out and speak their minds, try to maybe have some conversations, or at least stand up for what they believe in. So massive props to this young lady right here. That's really great to see.
My big thing is security, though.
That's interesting. You caught me off guard. I was not expecting to see someone like you out here who's not advocating for more gun control, but for more like other measures, school safety measures in order to reduce these tragedies, because you do care about, these types of situations.
Super interesting too. I mean, that's her stance right there, is bringing more attention to that. At these protests, I've been to a handful, you guys have seen them. A lot of people will push back incredibly. They will push back super hard against more security at schools. In fact, you have LAUSD in Southern California that is actively fighting, or has actively fought, against having police officers on campus. It'd be too traumatizing for the students. As if students look at a police officer and they just totally freak out. But it's a very controversial stance among these radicals that just want to take away guns, no questions asked, and not protect our students like we protect our jewelry stores, banks, and politicians.
Why don't you support an assault weapon ban?
I don't necessarily want it banned. You should, like, if you want one, get it at least when you're 30. Maybe they should have a restriction where it's like you have to at least be 30 and up to buy one.
We were so excited about her. All right, we'll let her finish, but we are so excited about this one.
The thing is, we have the Second Amendment right, so in case the government tries to act up with us, we just hit them. Not to hit our own people, but to hit them. So that's what they want to do, divide us, which is very sad, but it's true.
I mean, if we have a Second Amendment, do you think it's a fundamental right? Do you think you can restrict that right to people above the age of 30, or would it have to be the age of majority, like 18 years old? So how do you square that?
Fantastic question from Nuance Bro right there. I mean, it's a fundamental right. Your right to self-preservation. That is a constitutional right. It's not a, hey, you get that right when you're 50. Oh, we made it 30? Okay, well, next it's going to be 40. And also, would that do anything? Would people just grab onto another firearm? Would they steal a firearm? Would that do anything? It's pretending that no mass shootings happen with pistols, and that's just not true. People do crazy things with all sorts of weapons.
I feel like if you just want like a handgun, like from what I understand this question, if you want a handgun, something to protect yourself, yeah, sure, do it. Especially if the media is going to push out like, oh, all guys are scary. Well, a girl can't really fight a guy. That's harder. Most likely the girl's going to lose and get like beat up. So at least we should have a right to like a little weapon when you're 18, and then when you're older, a bigger weapon.
It's really interesting. It's actually the opposite. You can have a larger weapon, generally speaking, in most states, at the age of 18 years old, because the argument has typically been it's not concealable, use it for all sorts of activities. Pistols, you tend to have to be 21 years old. So it's weird that she brought that up right there. Also, the majority of mass shootings and shootings in general are people using pistols. So let's just pretend for a second that we do that. Would raising the age to get let's say a semi-auto rifle to 30 years old, okay? Not to mention, I mean, obviously you get struck down by the Supreme Court. It's unconstitutional. But let's say that they do that. Let's say that they do that. Would that fix the problem? Would that prevent people from becoming or being homicidal maniacs? I think we all know the answer to that. All right, everyone, let's take a few moments to talk about today's sponsor. If you are struggling with swelling in your legs, ankles, or feet, you will want to listen up. Forget your compression socks and water pills. New research shows that swelling and inflammation could be resolved by upping your intake of omega-3 fatty acids from krill oil. Omega-3s improve circulation while lowering inflammation in the body, all while reducing swelling and pain. And there's no better time to try krill oil yourself. Just go to fixswollenfeet.com/Klug and get up to 58% off Native Path Antarctic Krill. This krill oil is pure, effective, and easily absorbed by the body. And it contains a potent antioxidant which helps further reduce inflammation and swelling. For a limited time, all my viewers can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for as low as $23 a bottle. Just go to fixswollenfeet.com/Klug. That's fixswollenfeet.com/Klug. You guys, if you are struggling with this, take care of your body. I will put links down in the description below. Let's get back to the video. I do want to touch on what she was saying, though, really quick, about the pistols being that kind of great equalizer for women. That's basically what she was getting at right there. If there's anybody that should support Second Amendment rights, your right to self-preservation, it should be women, because it is the great equalizer. A grown man tries to attack you, you're not going to just wrestle him to the ground, or generally speaking, a woman's not going to. A pistol, a firearm, is the great equalizer. All right, next one. It looks like we got a winner here. Moms demand action. Let's hear what he has to say.
And what particular type of laws would you like to see passed?
Well, particularly in this case, I think that a red flag law is really important. You know, the person who committed the murders at Covenant School was in active treatment for a mental and emotional disorder with a doctor, and was still somehow able to legally buy 7 guns.
Yeah, so as far as, do you want to see something like, if you have a mental disorder, you are precluded from owning firearms?
I think that's very reasonable, yes.
Okay, so if you have a mental disorder, you are not able to own firearms. Also, his point before red flag laws, you know, most states have Baker Act statutes, which is kind of just like a general term, which is basically a red flag law. A lot of these red flag laws that they get behind supporting would be a lot more invasive ones, such as significant others or whoever else makes a complaint about you and you can have your firearms taken away from you. It's an easy thing for the government to abuse. Keep in mind, they'll get you in with something that might seem a little bit more reasonable, but the next step is completely insane. So keep in mind where these laws can really, really go. So, he's saying people with issues can't own firearms. Let's move on.
So, for example, this individual was a transgender individual, had gender dysphoria, presumably. Would you like to see a ban on people with gender dysphoria? This is something that's listed in the DSM-5, for example, as a mental disorder.
No, now I would say that would be a sort of a double standard there.
Oh, so he's backtracking. So no longer is it, okay, if you have a mental disorder, you can't own a firearm. No. All he had to do was bring up that the person had gender dysphoria, and there's exceptions for other forms of mental issues. So he didn't really mean his argument right there, or at least he didn't think about it. Nuance Bro is a fantastic question right there, because he basically cornered him into an ideological inconsistency. He was the one that said that he would support removing, you know, Second Amendment rights for people if they have some form of mental disorder. He obviously didn't mean that. Backtracked right away.
I see here on this sign you say ban assault weapons now. What are assault weapons and why should we ban them?
Well, I'd go farther than that personally, but I think that anything with a large capacity magazine, especially the AR-15, you know, you're talking about, that's the most popular firearm in America. It's useless in self-defense. It's useless for hunting. It's only a good gun for attacking people.
It's useless in self-defense. It's useless for hunting. It's a primary hunting rifle. A lot of hunters will use, if you're using a semi-auto rifle, which many hunters are, you are using maybe an AR-10 for somewhat, or sorry, my bad, AR-15 for maybe some smaller animals. If you're a hunter, I'm not the biggest hunter, but I'm a gun guy. If you're a hunter, let me know down in the comments what you're using for what animals that you're hunting. But to my, best understanding, would be used for maybe coyotes, other smaller animals, and then AR-10, which would have a 308 round. Bigger round would be used for bigger animals, maybe deer. That might even be too small for a deer. Hunters, let me know down in the comments. But he's totally wrong about this. It is an incredibly common weapon for hunting, and saying that it's not good for self-defense, they're fantastic for self-defense. In fact, some could make the argument that it's going to be easier to shoot than a pistol, let's say, for like if I wanted my mom to have a firearm in the home. I'd probably rather her have a light rifle than, honestly, a light rifle than a pistol she's not that good of a shot with.
It's only a good gun for killing people.
Do you feel like, for example, that police officers, because if it's only used not for defense of self and others, that they should also be banned from having those types of rifles?
No, the police have a super important and super hard job.
Great question from Nuance Bro, because he's finding ideological inconsistencies here. Oh, well, if it's not good for defending yourself, then why would police need it? Guy's saying, oh, well, that's an exception. That's an exception. What? You're now going back on your point that they are bad for self-defense. If they're bad for self-defense, why would law enforcement need to use it?
And I don't see a single AR-15 out here. Well, I'd say this is probably a considerable. This is considerably dangerous having all these people here unarmed. Somebody could pop up here any second. But I don't see any police with an AR-15 here. Do they have them in their cars? Probably. But are they carrying them around now? No. And that's the difference between what should be living in America, living in a free democracy, and living in a dictatorship.
Okay, now he's just throwing out random arguments. First of all, yeah, they probably have them in their cars. And Americans probably don't conceal carry an AR around with them, right? They probably have them in their homes, right? Because that's just the basic concept of maybe you don't want to carry it around because it's way too big. But also right there, we have an anti-gun activist saying that he not only wants to take away rifles, but also has made it clear that he wants to go even further than taking away semi-auto rifles, and is saying that's the difference between. He's just saying it's a it's a dictatorship. Is that what he's getting at right there? It's a dictatorship if you have those guns, or is he saying because they're not walking around with rifles? The dictatorship comment doesn't make sense. But if he's saying that allowing people to have those firearms and allowing people to have those semi-auto rifles is that dictatorship, if he's calling that a dictatorship, then he very clearly doesn't know what a dictatorship is.
Useless for self-defense, why should the police, which is a civilian force that works within the United States, why should they have it?
The thing is, I'm not a firearms expert, A.
We know you're not. We know you're not a firearms expert. Next clip with this guy.
You said you'd also like to see these bans go further. What do you mean by that? How far would you like to see them to go?
Well, I don't think we need a Second Amendment at all. The Second Amendment was written, however many years ago, 300 years ago,
That is the most common direction for many of these radical anti-gun activists. You start to probe, you start to ask them questions, and really it's just them distracting you with these other weapons that they say they don't want. They don't want certain attachments, they don't want all that stuff. But none of that matters. None of that conversation matters because the end goal is a blanket gun ban. That's all that matters. So that's what's so effective about these conversations. And that's why Nuance Bro is asking, what is an assault weapon to you? Because when it really comes down to it, it's either basically every single new firearm sold today, or it's just some random gun and then you dig a little bit deeper and they just want to get rid of everything. That's how all of these conversations go, right there. All right, next conversation we have, these look like interesting people.
So you have a dual purpose in being here, both in supporting the people advocating for more gun control, but also opposing this anti-LGBTQ agenda.
Well, what we've been seeing is that the anti-LGBTQ agenda has been a distraction. They've been manufacturing this moral panic to take away attention from the real issues. And we're seeing what some of the real issues are. Kids need to feel safe in schools, and that includes our trans kids. They have been passing legislation to deliberately discriminate against trans kids.
Right. You can't use the women's restroom and you are being discriminated against now. But look at that. Blue Anon conspiracy that just got brought up right there. They are introducing this legislation or they're focusing on that issue. The trans issue where people are fighting back against legalizing sex changes for youth. That is a distraction from the real issue. And I'm assuming the real issue here is that they need to ban firearms. I don't know. Let's see more of what they have to say.
The reason I ask that is because different states have tried different versions of assault weapons bans, and even at the federal level, we had the '94 assault weapons ban that lasted until 2004 when it sunsetted. And there's a big debate among gun control advocates saying, like, well, if you ban, sometimes they do it by certain features, saying if it has a pistol grip or if it has like a forward thing or whatever. Like,
so again, asking them what they want to ban, assault weapons, like what is that? Like what do you want?
You ban the features, but not like the actual action, like it being semi-automatic. So are we advocating for like a ban on all semi-automatic weapons, or is this like a feature thing?
Rather than asking us the specifics, ask them. Ask them. It's their job. What is their job? It's not our job to be legislating the particulars of the question you're asking us.
You're out here protesting. When people get angry about that question, first of all, Nuance is being incredibly polite, and that's how you should do these videos. You should be respectful, and well, I mean, anybody can do them however they want, I guess. I prefer to see it this way. I think you guys do too. People that are respectful, asking good questions, thoughtful questions, because how can you have a conversation if you don't know what they want to ban? So tell us. And you're out here with signs at an anti-gun protest. That should be an okay question to ask people.
Our job is to live our lives. Our job is to be safe. Our job is to be people here. It's their job to figure out what needs to happen for people to stay alive when they go to school.
Okay. I mean, it's a good tactic what they're doing. They don't know what an assault weapon is. They don't know what they want. They don't know anything about the statistics. They don't know anything about what's being done to protect children at schools. They know none of this. Probably an excellent place to start, actually, just before anything, is getting rid of some of these DAs in these liberal cities, allowing violent criminals to roam around the street, killing people, robbing people, raping. So maybe just like, if you want to take a nice chunk off of the United States crime rate and murder rate, you do something about those district attorneys first. But as for children, because that's obviously what we're talking about more so, it seems reasonable to bring up school security.
In this mass shooting in particular, the police chief came out and was talking about things they had seen in the manifesto, about how there was actually another location that was considered as a target by the shooter, but that it was ultimately discarded because it was the high security location, according to the shooter, and decided to go for a more soft target. Right. Do you think there are things around security, for example, that could maybe reduce these types of mass shootings?
The problem here is that the state is flooded with assault rifles, and the people in power are doing nothing whatsoever to make sure that Tennesseans are safe.
You don't think like security could play a role in potentially lowering some of this?
We don't want to invest into a more surveillance-based and more police-based response. Like my comrade just said, if we look at the root causes, access to quality health care for all, HIV health care, gender-affirming care, health care that is affordable and
Okay, what you're, oh my gosh. We need to look into the issues, the underlying issues, which is people trying to prevent children from getting sex changes. This is actually it's actually a common response, believe it or not. When I go to gun protests, a lot of times what they'll say is basically, oh, well, we need to, if you bring up crime or other ways or security at schools, well, we don't need security at schools because we should be looking at the underlying issues. And they'll just list off like a laundry list of basically their agenda, whether it be like some socialist utopia or whether it be just some random things that are totally off topic. They'll literally just name a laundry list of stuff that they want. In no way should we be arming our banks, politicians, political buildings, whatever it may be, more than our schools. And it's so interesting that you get people that are so willing to push back on that point. You had the girl in the beginning of the video that was very in favor of that. We had the girl in the last video that I covered that was very in favor of that, but that's a controversial take to be in favor of that. These people just want this utopia. They want to ban all guns, and they want their laundry list of, you know, random things that they demand. And to them, that will ban homicidal maniacs within the country. The biggest problem with this is reality sets in. And once they get everything they want and all of that, you still have homicidal maniacs living among us.
Affirming to all patients, if we're getting education, we're not hungry. If we can have access to safe and affordable housing.
So, laundry list. Anyways, you guys, I don't know if that conversation goes too many places, but if you guys enjoyed this video, I'll make sure to put a link to the full video down in the description below. Go support Nuance Bro if you haven't subscribed to him already. Let me know what you guys thought about my commentary. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos. And hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post, and I will catch you guys all in the next video.